Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game So today we're going to continue the series on Analog in Your Pocket. Are you just happy to see me? And today I am updating the Sega System 18 core video because some games have been added. I'm going to go over what games still remain on Hotego and his team side to get a full System 18 on the Pocket. We started with Shadow Dancer, but we've had a lot more games added since then, which is absolutely awesome because getting new games on Analogue Pocket, Mr. FPGA or otherwise, is always going to be a good time. And there was one game and one game alone that the System 18 is synonymous for, and everyone's been waiting for, and it is here, and that is Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. This is just an absolutely hilarious and very weird isometric beat-em-up game that features Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson helped develop the game, at least on the concept front. That is not something you hear very often, but Michael Jackson did have a relationship with Sega, even helping making some of the music for Sonic the Hedgehog, if you believe the rumors about that. But this is also available on Analogue Pocket. If you run your update, you're going to grab it today, and it's doing everything that the Mr. FPGA version of the game does as well, because I know some of you have both platforms, some of you are just Pocket users, and I kind of like to break these up into two separate videos so you guys know what's going on. But of all the games on the System 18, the most famous has got to be Moonwalker, and it's great to have an FPGA core because this is not an inexpensive arcade PCB in any way, shape, or form. And I'm sure this took Hotego and his team a little bit longer to get right because there is some anti-copyright protection within the actual silicon and game code of the System 18 board and the Michael Jackson Moonwalker ROM. Some enemy sprites would become invisible and the game would basically be unplayable, and in this generation developers and board makers were doing more things to try to prevent bootlegs from hitting the arcade market, because if you had a System 18 board with a game that was cheaper and you wanted to get a copy of Moonwalker, maybe you would just modify your board and have the ROM on there without having to buy a new arcade game from Sega. So I'm sure this was a little bit of a fun experience for Hotego trying to get around that, because it is one of the more notorious schemes and anti-protection around for this generation in Sega. And again, this game is just so incredibly strange. I love it. It is a fun time. It's probably like a B-tier beat 'em up, but the overall sense of absurdity in the game just brings it up a level in my opinion. Using the Moonwalker dance as a special move, making all the enemies dance with you, and then shooting out what I assume to be these laser fires to destroy them makes no sense as far as the game is concerned, but you absolutely love to see it. Now, just like the Mr. FPGA version, the Analogue Pocket version is going to have a little bit of strangeness in the sound, because again, this is a beta, it's not a complete core, but you can play the game from start to finish. And if you don't have that beta key as a Hotego Patreon member, this isn't going to work for you. You're not going to be able to coin up the game, so it's probably worth, the $4 to $5 a month to be able to experience all of these cores earlier than anyone else, because Hotego's always bringing more fun stuff to the Analogue Pocket scene, and you definitely want to enjoy a lot of that. A couple of his cores have recently gone public as well. It's usually like 3 to 4 months after the beta that the core actually happens. And I love that Michael Jackson turns into a spaceship at the end and escapes the evil villain's lair. I have no idea why he turned into a spaceship. It's never explained in the game that he can become a spaceship. Basically, in Moonwalker, Michael Jackson can become whatever he wants to be, and just that's how the game works. But if you haven't updated your Analogue Pocket yet in the last week or so, definitely do. You'll get the Moonwalker core coming down with the rest of the System 18 games. But there's definitely some games on the System 18 that aren't here yet, at least as the recording of this video. Who knows, maybe Hotego made a fool of me on Friday when this goes out on Sunday. The System 18 doesn't have the biggest library in the world, but it definitely has some awesome hits. And for my money, my favorite game on the system is going to be Laser Ghost. This is a pseudo light gun game that uses an XY potentiometer gun mounted cabinet, and you had the ability to shoot all the way around just like you would in something like Beastbusters from SNK. This is a Sega game, but it definitely leans into the horror aesthetic. This was supposed to be kind of a bright, cheery game, more focused towards kids as far as I remember it, but honestly some of the sprite work here is just downright creepy, and it's got a lot of fun scaling as well, something that the System 18 wasn't super known for compared to some of Sega's other super scaler boards. And the other thing is there aren't really any light gun games on Analogue Pocket on the arcade side of things, so getting this genre is going to be awesome. There's so much fun flair in this game, the art style is great, and like I said, even though it's kind of horror comedy in some of the sprites, some of the other sprites are just downright straight up horror, so it is a fun total mishmash between those two genres of horror, but the game is just an absolute blast. It is a 3-player game, and it's going to be great when you dock your Analogue Pocket and just grab 3 analog controllers. Unfortunately, you won't be able to have a gun cabinet mounted deal going on, but otherwise you're going to have a ton of fun. And what other game on System 18 lets you fight a bunch of small turds in a sewer until the gigantic turd monster comes up and starts throwing garbage at you? Other levels like this cemetery right here are just going to go straight up horror. I don't know if this sprite's supposed to be charming and funny. It definitely is not either one of those things. If you've never played Laser Ghost before, definitely look forward to that when it comes out. But the System 18 had other pseudo-horror games as well, with Alien Storm and Block Seed. Obviously Block Seed, the horror is just in the stress of having to try to not lose the game. More anxiety than real horror, but this is another one that is available on Analogue Pocket today on the System 18 core. At this point in time, it seems like about 40% of the System 18 games are available for us to play. Block Seed is a lot of fun, but Alien Storm has some pseudo light gun segments, so I guess maybe this technically makes it the first light gun style game on Analogue Pocket. This is a run and gun beat 'em up with some shmup style stages, but it also has this first person view where you're fighting the aliens in different rooms. I love this game. The art style is so unique, and I did talk about this about a month ago on the channel, but I figured System 18 was so fun we'd kind of comprise what games are here and what games are pending, as there are still a few decent games on the boards that haven't become available yet. But if you haven't updated your Pocket recently, Alien Storm is just a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. It's got such great creative sprites, it's got an amazing soundtrack, it's got a lot of fun gameplay, and of course it's a 2-player game as well, so you can bring a friend and have a ton of fun. And that's all you ever want to do, is have fun with these games. And even though this core isn't beta, there really isn't anything about the games available that mean you can do anything other than play them from start to finish. There might be a little bit of weirdness in the sound here and there, but the graphics are 99% of the way there, and the controls and gameplay are 100% of the way there. So there's nothing stopping you from sitting down, bringing a friend, and playing a lot of these games today. Every single game I'm showing you that currently runs on the core works from start to finish, and you can see the credits scroll, and honestly you gotta get some Alien Storm light gun gaming in. This is just such a pretty game, and it looks amazing on the Analogue Pocket's built-in screen, or if you put it on your dock, it looks great on your television as well. The only way this game looks ugly is if you forget to play it, then you don't get to enjoy the visuals in the first place. Now probably the game that is secondarily most famous for the System 18 along with Moonwalker has got to be Shadow Dancer. This is another classic Sega arcade game, and pretty much if you grew up in arcades or you grew up with a Sega Genesis console back in the day, this is a game that you played at least once and probably have played a bunch of times since then. Leave me a comment down below and tell me the last time you played Shadow Dancer is. I would be curious. This is a hard as nails arcade running gun, or more like a Shoryuken gun, because honestly we're not really dealing with firearms here as far as our playable character is concerned, but it is another System 18 classic. So basically all of the heavy hitters in my opinion outside of Laser Ghost have already been added to the core, and that is awesome, and it makes perfect sense that Hotego prioritizes some of the bigger games at the start. Something like Shadow Dancer is using basically the stock System 18 hardware, where Moonwalker would use that little variant to basically copyright protect the game. So you're going to see more games come soon, but you're kind of already almost to the 50% mark as far as System 18 is concerned. So tell me down below, what's the next core you would love to see Hotego tackle for Analogue Pocket? I want to hear what you guys want to play, because my opinion usually is different than yours, but I hope one day, if it's possible, we see some System 32 at least on some FPGA platform. But if you haven't again updated your Pocket recently, just run Pocket Updater or whatever update program you want. It'll bring down all of these cores and associated files. You just need to make sure that you have that JT beta key in the right area so that it ingests into all of the game folders and you're able to play and enjoy them. And Shadow Dancer, 10 out of 10 fun and 10 out of 10 hard. But there are still a few games that don't currently work on the core that will probably be coming soon, like Clutch Hitter here, a baseball game, decently fun, nothing that's going to absolutely just amaze you, but it is available. Also DD Crew, which is basically a beat 'em up. I would say it's a B- tier game, and Hammer Away is a prototype for a shmup, and I believe those files are online. It's been forever since I looked, but that is one that could run. And of course you also have Where's Wally? Not Waldo, but you get the gist of what that's going to be. But Moonwalker is here, Alien Storm is here, Shadow Dancer is here, Block Seed is here, but we still got a few more games to come on System 18. But I figured I'd update the video just so you guys all knew what was up and what to look forward to. Sure to that, if you have any questions, leave them down below, but I am done. Bye bye.